I'm 200 pounds. I squat weight twice a week, and when I wake up in the morning, I am not limber at all. In fact, I'm quite stiff, but I've learned how to use strength to get my body to go into deeper ranges of motion. If you're not naturally flexible, you may not get your front splits today, but you'll learn how to get your body into deeper positions. Let's go. We're gonna warm up with some simple leg swings. Kick the foot out in front of you and then let it be dragged behind you. The objective here is just warming up the hips, seeing if we can kick a little bit higher on each repetition. We're gonna do around 15 reps here, and I find that starting with some dynamic mobility helps prepare the joints to take some intensity. And this session will be intense. Go ahead and switch sides. The only way to get our bodies to go into deep positions like the splits is to put ourselves in pretty uncomfortable positions. And we have to learn how to calm ourselves in those uncomfortable spots while finding stability and strength there. If you're on the stiffer side like I am, it's strength that's going to signal to your nervous system that it's okay to go a little bit deeper. All right, let's hop straight into the first stretch, which is the lunge liftoff. So we begin kneeling in a lunge position. You're gonna set one hand down, and then we're going to lift that back knee off the ground, and we're gonna try to keep our hips nice and low. So your main objective is to try to get that back knee as straight as you can. And you're gonna accomplish that by really squeezing your glute and your quad muscle. And you can take away your hand from the ground if you're feeling comfortable. This will allow a bit more of an upright torso and put more force into the hips, which is a good thing. Let's do 2 more reps, and then we're gonna hold in our stretch position for 5 to 10 seconds. Really squeeze the butt, squeeze the thigh, stay low. Try to straighten your knees. This is the intensity that we need to be at here to make some forward progress. Go ahead and relax. All right, great. Now we'll switch to the other side, doing about 10 liftoffs and then doing that hold again at the end. So of course, I've been doing this for years. Your starting level may be different from mine. Your hips may be sitting a lot higher. It may be very hard to get that knee even close to straight. That's completely fine. We're all starting somewhere. A simple goal that you can work towards with these is getting that back knee straight while the hips are at knee level or below. Go ahead and hold, and you can see from this angle that this is the front split shape. We're really biasing the hip flexor and extension. Now we're gonna get into some hamstring stretching. From that same kneeling position, now straighten your front leg. We're gonna do some hinging up and down here, moving the chest towards the knee and then back up. Place your hands wherever it feels comfortable, on your leg, on the ground. I also like to grab my toe. Your main objective here is to get more comfortable with moving that belly to thigh, and try to resist rounding your spine too much, as we'll get more out of the hamstring. So 10 reps, and then we're gonna hold for around 10 seconds. And we're gonna do more hamstring stretching. So let yourself ease into this. You don't have to push yourself too intensely on these first sets. Go ahead and switch sides, and we'll do 10 reps and then 10-second hold. And this is the whole point of this routine, is we're gonna get our hip flexors and our hamstrings gradually warmed up, and then we'll start pushing ourselves into the front splits. But even with that, we're gonna start very easy and then turn up the intensity as the sets go. I wish I was someone who could just jump into the front splits whenever I wanted to, but for me, it takes a good 20 minutes to get there. So we'll take our rest period in a seated squat. Just try to relax here. No right or wrong, do what feels good for you. Training for the splits is a lot like strength training, so you need to take adequate rest periods to let your body recover to then go do another one. So the reality is we'll just be taking some longer breaks throughout this routine. But we're gonna go back to our hip flexor stretching. You're gonna need a small box or something to step on, and we're gonna do split squats, prioritizing that back leg and getting that good hip flexor stretch. So getting that front foot elevated on something allows me to put all of my focus into keeping that back knee as straight as I can. Just like our lunge liftoff variation, I'm squeezing my butt muscles, I'm squeezing my quads. Now, to get as much as we can out of that back hip, we really want to push that front knee forward. So as you can see, I even drive onto my toe a little bit, because the more that I can shove that knee forward, the more hip extension I can get here in the back. And of course, this also has the added benefit of being great for your knees and your quads as well. So let's go ahead and hold here for around 5 to 10 seconds. And relax. Nice. Shake that off and we'll switch sides. So once again, we will do 10 reps and then we're gonna do a 10-second hold at the end. So even if you're not interested in the front splits, or if when we get to the front splits, you find them just way too challenging for you, The first 10 minutes of this routine are some of the best stretches that you can do for your hip flexors and your hamstrings. And I'll just reiterate, if you are a stiffer person, then stretching with intensity and added load and contractions is just the best way to get your body to feel more comfortable and to allow a bit more range of motion. All right, awesome work. So we're gonna move on to our next hamstring stretch, and that's gonna be a very simple straight leg good morning. It's key here that we keep our back arched and we keep our knees straight. I like to think about pushing my hips back while lifting my tailbone. That usually sets my back and pelvis in a good position. And then I just cue myself to keep those knees nice and straight. We get a great big stretch through the backside. If you think about the front split position, what you really need is 90 degrees of hip flexion. And that just means your torso and your legs make a right angle. So that's a good goal to shoot for on these. But of course, being able to get even deeper than 90 degrees is probably gonna benefit you in that front split. So just like all our stretches so far, 10 reps, and then we're gonna hold for 5 to 10 seconds on that last rep. And after I hit that 10 seconds with my back arched, I'm just gonna let my body round, bring my hands down to the ground, let myself just relax into a deep forward fold position. All right, we are getting those hamstrings and those hip flexors opened up and ready. So we're gonna take around a 30-second break here. So you can shake those legs out. You can sit down into a squat like I am, but really you just wanna do whatever's gonna help you recover for this next round of stretches. In this third round, we're gonna be doing the same stretches as round 2 at a higher intensity. So we're gonna take away our front foot elevation from these split squats, but feel free to keep a little bit of foot elevation if you need it. So now we drive our knee forward, and once again, we try to straighten that back knee as much as we can. And this becomes harder to open up those hip flexors when we're doing this on the ground. Now, round 3 is usually when I can start to push myself a little bit. If I was to do these on round 1, my back knee would be a lot more bent, but because I've primed it, I'm able to get pretty long here. So the theme of the day is gradually working ourselves into those deep ranges of motion, not pushing it too soon, letting ourselves get there. All right, let's go ahead and do our 10-second hold. Okay, relax. Whew, that was a good one. Our hip flexors are gonna be really open to start these front splits here in a few minutes. So let's go ahead and switch to the other leg. We'll do 10 reps and then a 10-second hold at the end. Something that I find kind of interesting is that I definitely have a good side and a bad side in my front splits, and you probably do as well. But if I take the time to do these warm-up sets of these specific stretches, then the discrepancy between my good and my bad side is a lot less. If I don't warm myself up and do these presets, then one side is always extremely lagging behind the other. Having asymmetries is completely natural, but I think attempting to get ourselves more symmetrical is always gonna be good. All right, go ahead and relax. So we're going back to our straight leg good morning, but this time we're gonna do one leg at a time, and this will increase the intensity of that leg being stretched. So place all your weight into one leg and let the other foot just assist you for balance. All of our cues stay the same. We drive the hips back, we maintain an arch in our spine, and we cue ourselves to keep that knee as straight as we can. So yes, you guessed it, we're gonna do 10 reps, and then we're gonna hold for 10 seconds on that last rep. All right, great work. Let's switch to the other side. All right, so now we're gonna take about a minute break and then we get to the fun stuff. It's time to start going after the front splits. So as we rest, I'll tell you a little bit about how we're gonna work through these front split progressions. So obviously front split, very demanding position on the hips. We wanna be careful about how much intensity we're putting into things. We're gonna be holding for around 20 seconds. And for these first couple sets, you want that hold to be fairly easy. You don't wanna be crawling out of it at the end. On your third and fourth set, then you can start to push yourself to your deepest position. So you're gonna need something to put your hands on for assistance, because these first sets, we're gonna do assisted front split from the hands. Any little piece of furniture works. And I highly recommend doing this on a softer surface, something like carpet or grass. I'm just doing it here for the video. So my method of going into the front splits, I always start with a few of those split squats to try to open up my back hip, as that's usually my limiter in this position. And you may be the opposite, it may be your hamstrings, but it doesn't hurt to start with some split squats. So we're gonna pause in that deep position and then we're gonna start to straighten that front leg. We're using assistance from our hands, but we're taking as much as we can into our legs to make those muscles work under this tension. And this is that level that we want, where I could probably hang out here for a lot longer than 20 seconds. We're just getting our feet wet. We're getting ourselves used to this position. All right, go ahead and ease yourself out of that. Nice. Now, if you did that right, then your hips will feel a little bit of fatigue, but nothing too crazy yet. Now, once again, you're just using me as reference here. You may be way higher on your first set. That's completely fine. Heck, you may even be lower than me on my first set if you are naturally more flexible than me. So once again, after a few split squats, then we're gonna straighten out that front leg and we're gonna ease ourselves into a nice, comfortable front split position. Now that back toe is gonna be working a lot here. And it's honestly why I prefer to wear shoes while I do this, because it's a lot of extension on that big toe. It's good for it, but just make sure that you're easing into it and maybe wearing shoes like me. Let's go about 5 more seconds. All right, go ahead and relax. Nice work. So that's 1 round done. We're gonna do 3 more rounds of the front splits. And you're gonna be really surprised at how deep you're able to get on that 4th set. Now, once again, this isn't passive stretching. We're using a lot of strength here to unlock this position, which I find is key for the stiffer male archetype. And I may sound like a broken record at this point, but most people don't know how to stretch properly. They try a stretch out, they think, oh my gosh, I'm so stiff, I'm so inflexible, I can't do this position at all. Not understanding that there's a process to getting deeper, to getting your muscles to relax, to getting your nervous system to relax. If I was to just walk up and do that first set of front splits without anything else, it would feel awful. But you guys are gonna experience how much it improves over the course of 20 minutes. So we're going on to set 2. The only thing that changes with this set is we're gonna see if we can push ourselves just a tad deeper. So straighten that front leg, sink the hips down, and we'll pause here for 20 seconds. Don't forget to squeeze the glutes, just like those split squats. All right, go ahead and relax. Hopefully that one was just a tad deeper. And one way to track your progress is to set up your phone, get a little video from a side angle, see if you're making any improvements. So now we're gonna switch. We're gonna go to the other side. By now you've probably figured out if you have a good side and a bad side. This is my better side, and I purposely start with my bad side because I wanna be a little bit more fresh for it. All right, let's get those legs straight and let's hit 20 seconds here. Now, if your body is feeling comfortable, the more weight that you put into your legs, the more your hips will sink down. But putting too much weight can cause a little bit of hesitancy in the body. So we gotta find that middle ground. All right. Go ahead and pry yourself out of that position. Very nice work. So these are hard, demanding sets. So we really just got to rest between these. Honestly, I thought about giving you guys some upper body stretches to do in between, but really for the best results, you just want to chill out. You want to breathe, maybe sit in a squat if that feels good for you. Now, for these next 2 sets, we're taking the hand assistance away. So these are gonna be active holds, and it's all on you and your legs to support yourself. And I really credit the active holds with getting me the front splits. When I was first starting out, I was a lot stiffer, my hips were starting a lot higher, but every time that I established strength at a position, my joints would release and allow a little bit more range of motion. And over the course of doing this for a few months, I was getting really close to the ground and eventually get my full front split. Now, here's the thing, they are hard and they are a little bit scary, but if you stay strong and you stay calm, then you'll be surprised at how much your body will allow you to go. Now, you can still use some hand assistance for balancing purposes, right? Or if you just don't feel comfortable doing this yet, still put your hands down on something. And you'll see me put my fingers on the ground just to find some balance here, but I'm trying to put as much of it in my legs as possible. All right, go ahead and relax. I'm guessing that you felt that one. Shake your legs out and we will do the other side. All right, switching to the other side. Let's begin with our split squats. And remember that you've put in the work here, so you're ready to handle this. Push yourself a little bit. Let's go. And place those hands down, get yourself out of that as best you can. Great work. I find the 20-second holds work pretty well for me. It's long enough for me to get down there, to establish a position and then to let my hips release a little bit more and to get deeper. But it's not so long that I am suffering and I just feel like I hate it, you know? But if you guys find that you're enjoying the front split journey, then you may want to experiment for yourself with either shorter holds, so going as deep as you can and holding that for 10 seconds, and maybe you're doing a few more sets of that, maybe 5 sets. And then you can also explore doing some longer holds, you know, doing 30 or even 45-second holds. And for that, you probably not be going as intense, right? You have the hips higher up, but you're building some strength capacity through the hamstrings and the hip flexors in those lengthened positions. So that's just some advice if you're training on your own at all, but feel free to just keep doing this follow along with me if it feels good for you and if you see some positive change, and I'm hoping that you do. And we have the last round. So on this one, I'm going to attempt to go into the full front split. So instead of staying in that active position on the toes and the heel, I'm going to attempt to set my legs and my hips on the ground to be in more of this classic front split position, which, you know, makes it a little bit less active, but also makes it deeper. Of course, if you're not at the split level, then you're gonna do the same thing as last round, going as deep as you can in that active position, using a little bit of hand assistance or none at all. Now, this is the round to push yourself the deepest. We're 20 minutes in, thoroughly warmed up. Your hip flexors and hamstrings are primed to push their limits. And usually on this round for me, I'm able to do an eccentric or lowering down into the front splits. So I lower slowly, I contract my hips and my legs as much as I can. Once I feel that I'm at depth, I flip that back toe over and I sit in my front split. So hang out in your bottom position for about 5 more seconds. All right, go ahead and relax. So that round should probably hurt a little bit, not in an injury type of way, but you know, the good hurt where you're pushing yourself to your limit. And because I do my more challenging side first, now I get to have fun on my good side. This side usually feels better, especially going to that deep position. So I get a little treat waiting for me at the end. So this is our last set of the day. We're prepared for it. We can do this. See if you can push yourself a little bit. Contract your muscles, breathe into it. See if you can relax in a strong way to allow your body to go a little bit deeper. All right, excellent work. So I'm interested to hear from you. Now, we don't expect miracles like you're going to get your front split on the first session, but how much did you improve the front split from the start to the end? Were you able to get pretty deep? I swear, I'm still surprised when I'm able to access that full front split. See you in the next one, as always.